just really did nothing for the first 3 years of his career, basically was banged up, and then really burst onto the scene, hit free agency. Some people were wondering if he was a one-year wonder, and then he turned into an impact player for Cincinnati. So, no, I think he's a really good player. Depending on what the price point is, what sort of exit ramps you could build into the contract, I'd be in favor of going after Trey Hendrickson if you don't get Max Crosby.
Where are you drawing that financial line?
I want a deal that basically, if I can bail out of it after 2 years at 60 probably. So $30 million a year for 2 years with an option for a third year. Now that may look like when it's signed, Trey Hendrickson signs for 4 years, $136 million, but it's like, yeah, but it's 2 for 60. So, I mean, just however that looks and however that plays out, I'd be interested in that.
All right, what scenarios did you come up with?
All right, I got 3 for you here to pick from. All right, so I'll go through them. I'll list them 1, 2, 3, and then you can tell me your thoughts on them, and then I'll share what Brian Broaddus said, because I sent these over to Broaddus during the break too. I was curious which one he would pick.
And by the way, let me just tease next week for a second. Next week, one of my most excited. It's my most excited non-NFL season week of the year. Choppy gets hyped up for Masters. He's always saying this is the best sports month. This is the best 2-week run. Next week, when you have money to spend and you're supposed to be a player in free agency, I'm giddy. No naps. I'm not doing anything with the wife when I go home. And this is like the pre-tampering, before the deals are actually official, NFL free agency week. Next week on this show, I would tune in, not just for the breaking news while other people are talking about 1960s concert reviews. The breaking news, the analysis, the guests, and I think the Cowboys are going to be players. Now watch, it'll just end up being like the second week of free agency as we're waiting next week, but I love it. All right, go ahead.
All right, so this is the 3 options that you have here. Okay, first one. The Cowboys trade pick 20 and their first rounder next year for Max Crosby. Now, I've already seen some people say this. Can't trade the 2027 first rounder yet because it's frozen until after the 2026 season. Yeah, I know. But what you would do there, or what the Cowboys would do, they've got poison pills they can build into these things, basically. So it could be something along the lines of you're trading pick 20, and then it's a 2028 second rounder. But if Max Crosby is on the roster on January 30th of 2026, then it becomes a 2027 first rounder, and then you're free to move it. So there would be a stipulation in it to you basically have a hold on it to technically move it.
Yeah, Matt Thomas brought that up, Tolo. All right, so 2 first. One this year,
2
one
firsts
next year.
for Max Crosby. You then draft LSU corner Mansour Delane at 12, and you sign Nakobe Dean at linebacker, Jalen Thompson from the Cardinals at safety, who's considered to be one of the stronger safety guys on the market, which if you're wondering...
Broaddus was a fan in his film review.
If you're wondering about safety market, Cam Curl, who's probably considered a little above Jalen Thompson, just re-signed with the Rams this morning, and he did so for 3 for 36, $12 million a year. All right, so you trade 2 picks for Max Crosby, get Mansour Delane in the draft, you sign Jalen Thompson and Nakobe Dean. Good start to rebuilding your defense. Your other option, you don't make the trade, you keep your picks, you draft Sonny Styles at 12. This is just a scenario.
Which, by the way, I can't remember who wrote it. I want to give the credit. One of the NFL draft rooms at the Combine gave Sonny Styles a standing ovation for his performance out there, that he blew everyone away in terms of the interviews and the athleticism. And one of the rooms, I don't know which team it was, gave him a standing O.
Yeah, he is. He's considered like a big time culture guy too. So super athlete, big culture guy, super young. He's still 20 years old. So I mean, he's going to be a Brugler said it. He is going to be a highly sought-after individual in terms of for everything that he brings to the table. But you draft Sonny Styles at 12, let's say. You take Tennessee corner Colton Hood at 20. And then you sign Trey Hendrickson. And because you're signing probably a hefty amount of money, probably the top deal on the offseason market, you don't have as many resources to go play, so you go sign Reed Blankenship at safety from the Eagles. So Hendrickson is the edge rusher addition.
But hang on. In scenario one, which doesn't surprise me, you would skew this towards what you want, which is your Max crush.
We'll see.
You're trading for Max, but then you're spending on Thompson and Dean.
Thompson and Dean are not going to cost as much as Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, I know that. But you're also acquiring Max's salary.
I know, but you're talking about building. You're acquiring Max's salary, but Max has already had bonus money and guaranteed money that's been paid out. It's not as much of a drag on your cap or in terms of it's not as much cap obligation with Max as it's going to be with Trey Hendrickson for 3 years.
Okay, because Max is making 35 per.
No, and they would do things to finagle it and soften it, but no, they could add that. It's ultimately in a 3-year run probably going to end up costing you more to have Trey Hendrickson in all likelihood.
Okay.
So you've got Trey Hendrickson, Reed Blankenship.
Styles, Hood at corner, Trey Hendrickson, Blankenship.
Yep.
How much more do you like Delane than Hood?
A decent amount. Right. I really like Mansour Delane. Now Colton Hood I think is
Brugler
good.
made me feel like Delane was kind of like foolproof in Indy.
He's very safe.
Like find me the bad tape. You can't find it. I think Wilchuk said that too.
He's very safe, and if you take Ryan Smith, their new DB's coach, he was the one who initially recruited Mansour Delane to go to Virginia Tech before he transferred to LSU. And then the third scenario, Ruben Bain slides, and you draft him at 12. At 20, you take the Oregon safety, Dylan Thieneman.
Who Dane doesn't even have making it to 20 in his latest mock.
And then you go get, all right, let's throw some...
T-Man. One of the scouts called him T-Man. Bad nickname.
Let's throw some moderate cash at a few different individuals. So you sign Jalen Phillips. So you're really going to edge rusher now. Jalen Phillips, Ruben Bain. You sign Alontae Taylor, the corner from the Saints, and then you add Quay Walker, the linebacker from the Packers. So those are your 3 scenarios. And I threw this to Broadus. Would you like Broadus' selection, or would you like to be unspoiled by it?
His selection is the Bain one.
Would you like to know?
I'm not a fan.
It is not the Bain one.
Crosby.
He said he would take option A. He said they're all great options. He said he'd take any of the 3, but he said option A is the one he would go with. And these are obviously just sort of dream scenarios, the way that these play. You're not likely to get them, but I'm just saying, if you were able to click into this offseason, which one would you select?
And what's your answer, Max?
Probably. The least desirable one to me is the one that signs Trey Hendrickson.
I just think it's the least desirable is what?
The one where you sign Trey Hendrickson.
Hendrickson, Blankenship, Hood at corner, and Styles.
And I think those are good players. It's just, I think Crosby's a better player than Hendrickson. Crosby would be the best edge rusher of those. And then I think being able to add just steady across the board with the other 3 is good enough for me.
See, one looks really good, but you've also finagled it. You're like,
I didn't finagle.
You're spending it on
one. I lose
Thompson.
capital.
You're giving up next year's first round pick.
One, I lose capital.
You're cooking the books here.
No, one, I lose capital. Honestly, you could say 3 is the best option because you get Bain, who would be to a lot of people the highest player graded out of all these draft picks that I chose.
I'm leaning towards 3,
and you get 5 players instead of 4.
I'm leaning towards 3 because I fixed my edge issue.
Yes,
I got Phillips and Bain. The weak part of 3 is corner. I mean, I don't know how. I honestly don't know how good Alontae Taylor is. I don't know.
He's solid. I'm trying to think of like.
I got Thieneman as safety. I got 2 edges.
You remember?
I got a linebacker and I got a corner.
This is not similar play style. This is just quality. Kind of like what Brandon Carr was here. Just like steady.
Yeah.
Like Carr did not deserve the money he got. I'm not saying to be the same, but in terms of just the level of players, sort of what Brandon Carr was in Dallas.
If you tell me that Delane, I mean, to me the answer comes down to Delane and Hood.
Yeah. So
if you tell me Hood is going to be really good, I can go Styles, Trey, Blankenship, and get my corner.
I was wrong about Quinyon Mitchell coming out of the draft. I did not like him like everybody else liked him. But the way people described Quinyon Mitchell coming out and what he could do, that to me is what I see in Colton Hood. So it's kind of a weird definition. I don't want to say he's Quinyon Mitchell, who's turned out to be a really great NFL player. But the way people talked about Quinyon Mitchell as a prospect that I didn't think they were going to, that's Colton Hood to me. Colton Hood is physical press man guy. Colton Hood is going to bust his ass and run support. Colton Hood is going to give you a grit and an edge. He's going to be versatile, cover some different places. Is he going to be like a great, like, oh, I can run with anybody down the field kind of guy? No, probably not. But in terms of just adding some toughness and be able to physically play with receivers at the line of scrimmage and contribute in the run game, Colton Hood can do that.
And Delane's comp?
Delane's a little so this is not a great comp to the type of player, but honestly, like, to me, he would be, all right, there we go. We got a Jordan Lewis back. Like, we got somebody in here who can maybe a little undersized to play outside all the time, but can definitely hang inside at the nickel and is tough and is just always in the vicinity of the receivers, never really getting beat. That's Delane. Delane is not flashy. Delane is just steady as hell.
What's the fan text saying?
Let's go check out what they're saying. You've got some people saying the Crosby one is more appealing. 469 says we need more than just a pass rusher, though, on Crosby. We don't have any linebackers. Want to add some more linebackers. 201 says...
Well, Nakobe Dean is in that first package.
201 says option 1, absolutely not. Option 2, acceptable. Option 3, lean towards this one. There's a lot of people on here who say they don't want the Max Crosby one. 469 says number 3, and it's not even close. So kind of split here. It looks like most people are trending towards the Ruben Bain, Dylan Thieneman, Jalen Phillips one.
I am too. Now, in order to do the Crosby one, I have to be convinced, right? The Cowboys are going to have a good season, so next year's first-round pick will be definitely below 20.
Do you think that which do you think one of these options stands out as making them not better for the next 3? One of them stands out as making them better next year for sure?
One.
So one would be the one that makes you better next year.
No doubt. I got my play now safety. I got my absolute stud, possible future Hall of Famer. I have my NFL experience linebacker in Christian Parker's system, and I have the top corner in the draft.
Is that a playoff team? If that's their offseason?
I don't know.
Come on, say it. You don't want to say it. You know it would be. You just don't want to say
it. My college mistake.
Hey, I'm not playing Madden. I'm telling you, 2 of those things are probably going to happen. In that first one.
My college mistake. Okay, so that's going to be Dean and what? What's the second thing?
I think they're going to sign Nakobe Dean and Jalen Thompson.
Oh, you think Jalen Thompson?
And they very well could draft Mansour Delane.